Okay, so as predicted, we got the 6 horsepower 68 Evinrude running flawlessly. However, not pumping water on the startup. So I don't know what year they changed it. I'm gonna assume somewhere in the 60s, 57, 58, maybe like 58, 59, where you didn't have to pull the power head. And as of right now, they started it where the smaller ones, you just had to drop the lower unit a little bit. And I know I swore I wouldn't move the camera, but you drop the lower unit and there's your shift linkage. If there's no plate on the side, you got to drop the lower unit and there's a shift linkage. If you drop the lower, if you take the 4 bolts off the lower unit and it doesn't go down, you got to pull the power head. 9 times out of 10, it's the 50s motors that need the power head removed. This is a 68, so anything in the 60s, definitely later, just drop the lower unit a little bit, and you can undo the 3/8 nut to disconnect the shift linkage, and then you can pull the lower unit right on out. So we got to pop this water pump apart and find out why it's not pumping water. And I can already see one problem right there. Our lower unit housing is cracked. And what's interesting is this motor was worked on like we were talking about, but for some reason it's the newer setup, but it's cracked here and we're not pumping water. It's cracked there as well. So maybe they over tightened the bolts and we lost suction. I was gonna say I think I see a crack here, but that's just looks like to be design. Worst case scenarios, we'll change this housing with one of our older setups and see if we can get it going. So let's change this water pump. These look like smaller than 3/8. This bolt isn't even in all the way. So I don't know what's going on with this motor. Either someone just didn't do it right, or maybe they did it right but didn't do it 100% right, and some of the bolts kind of vibrated loose. That comes to mind. This is obviously less than 7/16. So the grommet looks to be in good shape. The housing is shot, so we're going to have to change the housing out. But I have some older styles we can use. Worst case scenarios, we'll order up a new one on eBay. Let's get this thing apart. Just quick, worth noting, I've never seen a housing use 5/16 bolts. This one does. So the 4 tiny housing bolts are 5/16. I don't know if that's all newer housings or what. So just be prepared if you see one of these motors and you get the upgraded housing. I believe there's a tiny cup in there as opposed to the bigger water impeller. It's going to be 5/16 on the bolts. I originally thought they might be 3/8. Clearly not the case. So 5/16, 5/16, and these will come right out. Let's see what this impeller looks like. Just took a quick look at the water tube. It's bent. Which, I mean, it shouldn't affect it, but water could be coming, if the tube is bent, it's not fitting in the grommet, it could be coming up and out instead of up the tube to the motor. That's a new one. I've never seen that before. I want to see how bad this water pump is. I'm kind of hoping it's bad, because if it's not bad, then that means the power head is going to be having some salt corrosion blockage. And then we are going to have to pull the power head just to kind of clear it up. Which isn't awful. It's inconvenient, but nothing we can't handle. Nothing you can't handle. I was really hoping that this impeller's bad. Look at that salt corrosion. It's just weird too, because the motor's so clean. Such a clean motor up top. Got it running in no time. Quick carburetor fix, carburetor float, needle, seat. Thing pretty much had spark already. We cleaned and adjusted the points just to make sure. Running great, just not pumping water. So I'm getting a severe salt corrosion in the screw holes. So hopefully there's the same gunk going on in this housing and not in the motor. But you never know. That's what happens here in the Northeast. You know, you can take it out in salt water, but you got to flush it out. If you don't, you let it sit for a season, and the salt crystals just soak up everything. I'm really anxious to take this housing off. 2, 3, 4. 4 bolts. What we got? Please don't be a good water pump. Please don't be a good water pump. Please be missing all your impellers. Please, please, please. Oh boy. Maybe they forgot to put it in. I can't see. We're going to pull it all up. See what's up. So not what we were hoping for. The key's in. Now, that's one thing you look for, to make sure they put the flywheel key in. Flywheel key. Oh, did he weld it in there? Oh my goodness. Some people just... No, I don't think so. You want to make sure the key's in there. It looks to be in there. It's obviously in there. It won't come out, which is interesting. Fins on the impeller are there, so... I was really hoping that this thing was shot, and it's not. So the impellers are bent, really bent, and they're not in that great a shape. But they're not broken. So what I'm thinking is, the little weep hole is kind of blocked. Okay, so we got one problem is the impeller looks to be good. So most likely the water path, if the screw holes are indication of the salt corrosion, most likely the upper part of the motor's got a lot of salt corrosion and blockage in the water pathways, and that's why we're not pumping water. And the 68 has the plate, which I thought they would have done away with this by this year. What we'll also do is we'll throw some compressed air up the water tube and see if we could also just throw the old style in there just to see if it pumps water. It's not that hard to quick do it at. Alright, let's get some compressed air, see what's up. Okay, so we're not pumping water, and I didn't see anything wrong with the water tube too much, so I put the old style on, and I'm going to quick lube the splines up and put this sucker back together with the old style pump that I had from my collection. Now the water impeller actually is brand new, however the housing is just an old style housing, so we're going to just put it back together because that's the easiest way to go. And then if we're not getting water now, it's because there's salt corrosion up into the block. We're just going to put this lower unit back together, making sure our water tube is in, because that could have been a problem too. The water tube's bent, so there's a good chance that this person never lined up the water tube properly. And based on its position, it's bent on the tip, and it's not really where the water pump grommet is facing, so there's a solid possibility that they just missed. Alright, so here's the motor. We installed the older style housing. We took out the new style. I blew some water through the water tube pickup, which was bent at the tip. I straightened that out, and I made sure that the new water tube went into the older setup that I had, and I had a new impeller laying around. And hopefully there's not salt and corrosion blocking the water passages, and it will pump water. Yeah, so we took out the new style that someone had installed and cracked because they probably over tightened it, and we just installed one of my older style ones with a new impeller, and hopefully blowing some air through it. And my assumption is that that water tube, the tip was bent. Maybe they jammed it in there and missed the grommet. So let's see if she starts and pumps water. Hey, success! Excellent! Right. So yeah, definitely somebody either installed the new style wrong, or who knows what was up with it. But it's pumping water now, so there's obviously not a problem with the pickups and everything else. This motor's done. Runs excellent, it's pumping water. The only thing we got to do is fix the transom clamps, which are seized in there. We'll heat them up, throw some WD on it. Those should come right out. And then the throttle's a little bit sticky, so we'll keep hitting that with WD and loosen that free. Another motor in the books, running good. As always, guys, thanks for enduring me. See you in the next video.
Sub up.